what would your message be, or how can we build confidence in the seafarer community about this transition? I don't know, open to anybody. Or I'll pick on someone if not. Yves,
I'll try. I'll give it a go. If you're talking about ammonia, I was sailing on gas tankers. I've carried so much ammonia during my days. I've sniffed so much ammonia that my lungs are probably clean for the rest of my life. But of course, and there goes the difference, it's very different to work with ammonia as a fuel as compared to me in my past, carrying it as a cargo. And I think you really need to get the training right. You need to get your virtual, preferably, first before they go on board, because the problem is you don't have enough ships to try and do the practical training. You need to get that right so that they can build that confidence. And I quite like what James was saying as well about making it human-centric, to make sure that doesn't matter where they are, that it is the same type of equipment that they see in front of them.
Yeah, should I just build on that? I mean, thinking, talking about a competency standard as a mechanism to give them confidence. All a competency standard does is say, here are the topics that you need to know. That's all it ultimately does. And then a model course and a syllabus will attempt to teach you that. But you're still going to come on board and see a manual like this that you need to absorb really quickly to understand how that works on that ship. And when you're introducing fuels that have a characteristic, whether it's toxicity or otherwise, that is new and somewhat abstract and feared, the idea that you protect yourself by accurately absorbing that manual is very, very daunting to the seafarer, and it should be daunting to the seafarer. So this concept of human centricity that we were talking about is trying to learn from industries that have faced similar high hazard situations where human system interaction is the source of the main risk, and saying, how do I make this as simple as possible for the user? How do I make sure my design philosophy and my point of view is a human being is using this system rather than this system is performing a function? And I think there's a lot of potential in that, and it's thought of as a bit of a fringe approach in our industry at the moment. When I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to me speak right now are sort of thinking, that seems very different to the way we do things in maritime. Why? It doesn't need to be. It's a very effective hazard mitigator in other high hazard industries. Why don't we look at it?
Just to build up on, just to add on to what James was saying, is that when you look at a new fuel, and if it's like a big manual with multiple pages, there's always going to be a worry in the mind of the seafarer. Same thing happens for a simulator. When even in a virtual environment, when you're looking at it, where there's a risk-free environment, but still when you're looking at multiple pages of the mimics and the systems that are there, there's a confusion that's going to come in the seafarer from the start, that it's a very complicated system. That's why we, in the simulation environment also, we're breaking it down into something called as a blended learning. What we're trying to do is that we're taking certain subset of the mimics, combining and binding them together and making them as a small 30-minute session. It could be something like a basic procedure of getting a system lined up for bunkering. You can break it into systems like getting the purging system ready, getting the, the tanks ready or something like that. So when you break up into partial systems or operations, it becomes much more conducive for the seafarer to get. And also when it's like a 30 minutes exercise, self-directed, he has a pace in which he can. And then when he starts picking up on that, and gets a better understanding and feel those same mimics and those pages a part of a larger simulation program, where he is then getting introduced to a larger quantity of mimics and features. Then he gets more familiar. So it's an incremental learning. So that's what we see that we have tried it in the LNG, phase when we introduced it. Has worked wonders. So the audience has changed not only from the training institutes, but directly to ship managers and the ship owners, where the blended learning and the self-directed exercises has become kind of good grasp for the seafarers. So we are trying to put that same thing when we are trying to develop the methanol and ammonia. So breaking down the simulator into small subsets, getting to understand the minor systems first, then move on to the major system, combine them together, and then you do an instructor-led training.
Yeah. And Celia, first hand, I mean, are your seafarers feeling confident, do you think?
Yeah, I hope my CEO doesn't have, Yes, I know that he's looking into this, and yeah, we had a chat that time. So my previous company that I used, my previous company, my CEO, his name is Mark. Until now, I cannot forget the conversation that I have with him on ammonia. And yeah, and because of that, I will think that for me to train the staff to better understand or live with ammonia, I'm sure the journey will be maybe at least 3 times longer than the methanol project, because I think the impact is really huge. And yes. I don't think risking life is.
And I was going to say,
the risk is much higher.
I think as well, it's confidence in themselves, but also confidence in the systems. This particular seafarer is very, very worried, for example, about retrofitting and about it actually being a closed loop, and the differences there between LNG. Maybe we could get into that.